Russ Jenkins.
Hey, how you doing, Cam? We're doing
How you
good.
doing, you sexy motherfucker?
Oh man, always doing good. How about you?
I'm good.
You got the name. Your name Cam, and from that, got that Aussie accent, man. You're gonna fucking get some ladies or men down under, whatever you're looking for. This is good.
Mate, you had a very good show last night. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man. I think it went well. I was excited. That was my first book show in New York. That was exciting.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a fun little thing.
And was that to hopefully get past at the St. Mark's?
Yeah, at St. Mark's. That was it. So
Danny was there. He had the notepad. So,
yeah, so I got an email. I've got to come back and do it one more time. I got an email today. I got to come back and do it one more time. So we'll see. We'll see how.
Was that through Buddha or through Danny?
It's through Buddha.
Okay.
Yeah, it was through Buddha. But no, I mean it's
That's
good.
good. That's a good sign.
No,
because they wouldn't have given that to everyone.
Yeah, no. So it was good. It was good. I'm doing a couple other things. I'm doing the industry room at Broadway on March 1st.
I just got the residency from doing that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah. So no, everyone says that's one worth doing. Everyone says that's a real one worth doing.
I think, and this is for everyone who listens to this, if you're new to New York and you're not past anywhere, I think the industry room is the best room you can do. It's the only bringer show that will get you spots.
Yeah.
And then there's literally an obvious and direct pathway into the club and getting past in the future. I tell everyone this, you should be doing the industry room 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Do it every 2 or 3 months and just keep going. The first time I did it, I got given 5 spots, and then I called him up and I said, hey, can I have some guest spots afterwards? And he gave me another 2. And then when I booked again, I said, can you give me some warm-up spots? And he gave me 3 warm-up spots. So from one show, I did 10 shows.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome.
And then the second time round, I got the residency.
That's the way to be, man.
And now I'm in. So
because I think too many people do it once and they're like, oh, I didn't hear anything, blah, blah. And I'm like, guys, like I also think
there's everyone I know has like, they did it once and they just, a year went by and then I've told everyone to keep going. Keep going.
Keep doing
I
it.
told Michael Fleming, it had been a year and I said, do it, and he's like, okay. And then he got the residency.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
It's a great club. It's a great organization. They give comics, same with St. Mark's, they give like intermediate and beginner comics a shot at getting shows. That's why I love St. Mark's. I love what Danny and Lexi are doing there. I love Broadway, really. Rich Brooks is a fucking absolute champion.
There's some great stuff out there.
Yeah.
I will
Eric Hansen, who works there, is an absolute legend as well. So
I will give a shout out to Fear City as well. If nobody's ever been there,
he's coming on the podcast in a couple of weeks.
Oh, is he coming on the podcast? It is. So that dude is so cool, and I love that the club owner is literally there at every mic, and he gives you feedback when you get off stage.
There you go.
And because most of the time, I mean, most of us have done even. I did a mic there one time. It was a middle of the day mic, and he's like, hey, sorry, guys, there's 2 of you. Do you still want to do your stuff? And me and the person there, we knew each other. And I was like, yeah, do you mind if we go ahead and do our stuff and we'll give each other feedback? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And so then he listened to it, and then he gave us feedback too. But I don't know, just a really, really cool guy that runs Fear City. So I'm really hoping that they take off because I think that club's pretty cool too.
I think so. He's probably has a few issues monetarily wise, if that's the right word, monetarily, that is a word, because he doesn't sell alcohol. I think that's probably his only downfall, but he doesn't seem to want to. He's cool. And he said it, I did ask him about it. He said liquor licensing and then having to set up a kitchen and everything like that. I get it. But there's nothing like going and watching comedy and having a couple of beers.
No. And that's the way I always laugh with people is you always like that sweet spot. Again, I'm coming from the South. So the sweet spot was always the 7:30 or 8 shows where people have had enough beers that they're ready to be fun. Mm-hmm. But the 10 o'clock or 10:30 shows are always a nightmare because they've had too many. And you always end up having to kick out one group of people at the 10:30 show in the South. Cause all right, guys, I get the bars close at 2, but you guys are 3 sheets of the wind. You guys shouldn't, you guys were not prepared to listen, but no, but there's nothing like it. I mean, and it's funny too when you get to talk to people who like comedy, even people who aren't doing comics. I think we tend to be fanatics about it. So we'll name obscure ass people that people have never heard of, and we're like, oh, do you remember this bit? Blah, blah, blah. And the average pedestrian's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I did a show in in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Looney Bin. Shout out to Mason, the Looney Bin, if you ever get a chance. I know it's a Midwest franchise. They've got one in Tulsa, one in Arkansas. I know he's looking to open up another 3 or 4 across some cities in the Midwest. But great group of clubs. But I did a show there, and one of the audience members was like, "You guys were so funny. I love stand-up comedy. I love, oh God, I think his name is like Nathan Bartsey. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, you love comedy?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, no worries. But yeah, but thanks
Yeah.
for the compliments, man. So how long you been in New York?
Mate, well, I've been in New York I got here in June.
Okay.
And when did you come here?
I've been here a month. I'm like fresh off the boat.
So you're here to stay.
I'm here to stay. Yeah.
And where were you from?
I'm from Dallas originally. I've kind of lived all over. I just came up here from Dallas, so I'm from Dallas. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Texas. In my 20s, I got, like you and I have talked about this. In my 20s, I worked for a company that made machines for underground mining. So I lived in Europe for a long time. I lived in Stockholm. I lived in Antwerp. I lived in a city called Örebro. I lived in Australia for a hot minute in Perth. Went to Asia for about a year and then couldn't get my visa renewed, and then came back to the States with another European company. Lived in Cleveland, Ohio, of all places, then went back to Texas, and now I'm here.
Hell yeah, man. What a journey. And what company are you working for here?
So right now I work in private equity. I work for a group called Investor Group Services. So we're a consulting firm that helps with private equity backed companies. So I used to own my own firm. We built that up, specializing in doing some finance stuff, and then they acquired us, and now I work for them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
How good's that?
Yeah, man. I'm kind of crazy. I kind of joke that I'm a hillbilly savant, and like most of my friends are like, "Yeah, we can see that," because they're like, "We've seen you order a good glass of wine, and we've seen you eat Vienna sausages out of a can." So yes, you are a hillbilly savant. I'm like, I am classy and trashy at the same time. This is good.
That's awesome. And what was your motivation to come into New York?
Comedy.
Yeah.
Like
so you're here to go.
Yeah. So day job had an opportunity to move up here, and I was like,
"What's going on with that? Was that your phone?" I think your Siri just went off. That was fucking weird.
"All right, hang on. Let me just make sure this is all muted."
All good.
This is comedy.
Say that again. What? I think the audio might have fucked up then because I could hear it through my. Yeah, just say.
Hey, can you hear me?
No. Yeah, we're all good. We're good. Let's get back. What were you saying?
No, I was saying that.
You came here for comedy.
Yeah, I came here for comedy, and So yeah, so day job had an opportunity to move up here, and so that's what I decided to take full advantage of it and kind of do comedy up here. So yeah.
Well, this is the place. This is the place to get the reps in.
Yeah, 100%.
The opportunity's here, man. Everyone. This is such a good time to be alive. So much opportunity in this city, especially. I mean, where else do you know that you can go do like 4 or 5 open mics in a day if you wanted to?
Every day. Yeah, every day.
Every goddamn day. You can walk to each one. You don't have to get in your car and drive. It's unbelievable. There's so much opportunity.
Yeah, so it's so good here. So this is opportunity.
Yeah. So whereabouts are you living?
Yeah, so right now I'm in kind of a corporate apartment over in Midtown, over on 46th and 3rd, and then I got to find an apartment here in a couple months.
Yeah,
so.
nice.
But we're looking around. So
yeah.
Looked at a couple different places, but I mean, golly, you guys are. I know I'm coming from Texas, and like I'm a bit spoiled on prices. And I know Texas, we even complain Texas has gotten expensive, but here I'm like, okay, so $8,000 a month, I can live in a shoebox and next to a methadone clinic. Cool, let's figure this out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It is so expensive here.
Yeah, because I used to crack up with people. I was like, golly, I was like, so and so lives so far out of the city, and then I started looking at prices. And I was like, oh, I get it. I know why somebody lives like a 45-minute train ride away.
Yeah.
Oh, am I too loud?
No, you're good. Yeah, I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked because Brisbane, I mean, it's expensive, but it's still a lot more reasonable compared to here. You literally you can pay like $4,000 a month USD. Just have to say that. For a fucking shoebox, for a studio apartment shoebox. And it's like, yeah, it's in a good location, but it's still tiny. In most places around the world, you would get a mansion for that.
Yeah.
I was living at a beach. This was last year. I was living at a beach. No, not last year, the year before. A beach house in Nicaragua on the beach, complete beachfront. The waves were breaking at my doorstep. It was $600 a month. and I was just splitting that between a few friends. There's
Yeah.
nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. It's nothing. Yeah. No. Here it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Just a little.
Yeah. It's actually like I'm not selling my house in Texas, and people are like, "Are you keeping your house in Texas?" I'm like, "Absolutely. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not selling my house in Texas." I was like, and I got lucky. I bought my house. I was looking for a house right when the pandemic happened, and I had enough savings that like I financed it like literally 3 months after COVID happened, like when nobody was buying houses.
So you've locked in low.
Oh, so I'm so locked, like ridiculous. Like I'm under a percentage point. And so people are like, "Are you going to refinance?" I'm like, "Never." I'm like,
never pay it off either. What's
never
the
pay it
point?
off. No. It's like I think my rate's like 0.8 something, and I'm like, no, I'm never. The bank all the time is like, "Hey, would you like to refinance and we can give you more equity?" I'm like, "No, I'm sure you would love me to now at like 7-8%. No, we're not doing that." So no, it's so funny, but it's one of those things that I just got lucky. I mean, most of my life, I mean, I kind of laugh with people about like, I got to live abroad, got to do all these other things. Like 98% of my life has been serendipity. So it's like, that was the same thing, like getting lucky to buy a house like during COVID. Now, again, I get it. We're in New York, guys. Like, I know I'm from Texas. We had COVID for like 2 months, but it was a bad thing, but it was good for me buying a house.
Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe there's a reason we're all here. I believe that what's happening in New York right now in particular, like in the scene that we're coming up in, is fucking hot. I reckon there's going to be hundreds of us that get specials. There's hundreds of successful comedians. There's so much talent here at the moment. And the group of guys is so fucking good. Everyone is sound. They're good people, like with good hearts and good intentions.
That's what I like. I mean, guys and gals both. I mean,
of course.
I've always had this saying, no, I'm not, I'm just trying to make sure I get my New York, like guys and gals in, or however anybody, whatever anybody has. Don't yell at me. I just moved up here. I'm trying to learn it all. So just realize I'm trying to be educated. I agree with that. And it feels like, I mean, every scene has drama of some kind, but at least it feels like, it was even this way in Dallas. Like, it feels like this new generation. I don't know if it's because it's a touchy-feely generation. I mean, hell, I'm starting late. I'm 37. I'm starting comedy like late in life. I feel like
I'm 35.
Okay, yeah. So like, I kind of joke. People are like, "Why do you do so many open mics every week?" And I'm like, I feel like I'm making up for the reps I didn't take in my 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. But same kind of thing. I think this new generation of comics, they're hot. Everybody has a unique perspective or a unique view on things. I think people are getting way more honest and open about like their own stories, which I like. Which I'm like, hey, I get it. Like, unless you have the best Spirit Airlines or dating app joke ever written, like, move on. That stuff's all hack.
Yeah.
But I feel like people are telling their own story more. But it's also one of those, like, I've always said, chase the dream, not the competition, right? Like, we all want to make it. So chase the dream, not the competition. And I kind of feel like, at least the group we've been hanging out with, I feel like everyone's like, how do we all get better? How do we kind of push each other?
Well, that's the idea of this podcast as well. Like, obviously, I'm going to get people on that are not in my group and are far more successful. But the goal is to like look at people that I meet. If I see something in them that I see within myself, then I want to get them on. Like, I want to try and, showcase this community of comedians that are here right now. Because this is the best fucking time to be alive. I don't, if you don't see it, you're crazy. We got everything right here. We've got so many amazing people in the world. And right now, being in New York City, dude, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah. No, this is fucking great. No, this is like, and this is a great scene. I mean, like I said, everybody's like, I don't know. I have found everybody's crazy supportive. I will say there are times when I still think we're coming out of and I don't want anybody to be like, this is a white male comic. I'm not saying punch down on anybody. But like, I think I told you, like, part of my humor is like, I used to weigh 425 pounds. I weigh 260 now. No, I'm still a big guy, but like, part of my humor is making fun of myself and my weight loss. And I had a crowd that was pretty tight a few weeks ago because they were upset that I was making fat jokes. I'm like, guys, I'm making fun of myself. I'm not talking about some ethereal person.
Were you in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I was in Brooklyn. I was in Brooklyn, and I was like, guys,
called that one.
I was like, guys, and I think I got the crowd back on a stupid joke where I said, look, I'm not punching down, I'm punching around. I'm making fun of myself, and then they kind of chuckled, and then it felt like they had permission, but it was like, I think because they thought I was making fun of this ethereal fat person, like stuff that normally always works was not working. And I had to like remind the crowd, be like, you guys are aware, like I'm talking about me, right?
Yeah.
But I think everybody was like, oh, it's not healthy to make fun of yourself. And I'm like, that's the one kind of comedy you should do is like make fun of yourself.
Yeah. 100%. No, you great. From the very get-go, the first minute I saw you perform, I was like, yeah, I like this guy. I'm going to get him on. You're great.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. No, and it's one thing I always joke. I always tell people I'm like you're. I'm always like people are like, so tell me about yourself. What I don't know, I'm like, I'm the drinking buddy you didn't know you needed. Like it's like
there
you go. So it's one of those. I mean, this is an Aussie. Like you move up here to New York. I mean, I laugh. I've got the Texas, ability to handle alcohol, and me and. We have a friend in our friend group, Corey, who's from Wyoming, and me and Corey laugh about being from the middle of the country. We moved up here and like having the ability to drink coming from somewhere terrible. People up here are like, "Do you guys think you have a problem? Like, shouldn't you go to rehab or something?" You're like, "No, we're paying our bills. Like, it's like, it's only a problem if we lose our job or can't see our kids or something." Like,
I get wild. I just did 104 days without drinking. I stopped at 104, but I had to put a line in the sand because I was crazy.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. It was nonstop.
Yeah, and if you're having issues like that, there's no problem in like pausing or taking a step. But the fact if you can pause and take a step away from it, that's when I'm like, okay, you don't have a problem. If you can go like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and be like, I'm okay, then I'm like, okay, then you're good. But like, I also know AA don't send me any things. I know some people are like, the first drink is when they're back, and like I was just on Brennan's podcast as well, and like I know he talks about his journey, him dealing with everything. But
Brennan who?
I mess up Brennan's last name. The ex-drinking buddy.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, this is not great podcasting when I'm checking my phone.
Yeah, all good. So tell me, how did you get into it? So you said you started late.
Yeah, I started late. I was always a comedy fanatic. So what I wanted to be growing up was I wanted to be a comic. I mean, I remember watching like back in the day, they had Premium Blend, which were 30-minute specials on Comedy Central. I watched Late Night at the Harlem. I watched HBO Presents, like way back, like 90s, right? Like when I was a kid. Watching shit I probably shouldn't have been watching, but being like, hey, this is fascinating. And I always wanted to be a comic. But I mean, I grew up dirt poor in Texas. And so like, I was like, all right, I got to go to college. I got to get a real job. And so that's what I did. And then just was always a comedy fan. I mean, I went and saw, on a weekend when I was living in Cleveland, I went and saw, and almost nobody showed up. This was before she got big. I went and saw Maria Bamford when she just got back on the road from being out of the mental hospital, and she was phenomenal. And then the following weekend, I saw Nikki Glaser before she blew up, before she got famous on the roasts. And I was like, all right, I'm hooked again. So I became like a fan again because I lived in Europe. I went to some comedy in Europe, but it was different. And I was, so busy. And so when I got there and then, candidly selling my company and then going to work for them kind of provided me okay, now I can do this, right? Like now it's like, I mean, I got a kid, and so it's like the whole thing is I was like, all right, I don't want to be the broke dad. I got to take.
Is your kid in New York City?
Yeah, she can be here. Yeah, she's gonna stay there until school's over, and then everybody's moving up here.
Oh, okay. Are you married?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think you did tell me that.
Yeah.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, everybody's moving up here in the summer.
So you got one kid and your wife.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Okay, so. Yeah, well, that's it. And this is your time.
Yeah.
You worked hard, and this is your moment.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we're going to keep the house in Dallas. We'll still,
You'll do great here as well.
Yeah. No. We're excited. My kid's a theater kid. I laugh that, we only have one, and I laugh that, I grew up poor, so then I went to school for something real, and then had all that good stuff, and now I'm like, okay, cool. Now you're a theater kid, so you can spin the safety net, and then your kids have to be engineers and business people again. So, isn't that the way the cycle works?
It does.
So,
how do you like having kids?
It's fun. Yeah. My kid's great, and I have a few jokes about my kid. My kid does stand up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my kid does. My kid takes classes called Stand Up for Kids. My kid's been on stage several times. She's a theater kid. She loves it. Now she's 10, so like some of the jokes she's telling is like, boy, isn't like recess too short these days than it was like a year ago. But she tells a bunch of kids jokes, but she loves it.
Wow.
She came to see me at a show about a year ago. A buddy of mine, Reggie French out of Dallas, booked me on Pardon My French, which is a clean comedy show. And I said, hey, can I bring my kid? Because she's been wanting to see me. He said, oh, yeah, it's a completely G-rated show. And we got there. and he was like, "Hey, does your kid want to come on stage and tell a couple jokes?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" So he asked her. He's like, "Eleanor, you're the youngest audience member we've ever had. Do you want to come up here and like tell a few jokes?" And she was 7 at the time. She went up there and
That's awesome.
she did the like, "Hey, two fish are in a tank. One turns to the other one, says, 'How do you drive this thing?'" Like she did another kid joke, and audience loved her. She was adorable. Like what do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear. Like she did those. Like did 2 or 3 of those, and yeah. Then since then, because she's been really into theater and musicals, so she's done all that. And now she's like, "Hey, I want to do stand up like you." So this is the other thing too, is like I don't actually have to get famous. I just need to have her start at such a young age that she gets famous and rich, and then I can still live off on those residuals, right?
Yeah.
I'll be like, "Dad's your agent. We'll have that weird thing in in a decade or two." But
that's amazing.
But for now, Dad's your agent.
Would you? So you just decided to have one kid? You didn't decide to have more?
No, just the one. I mean, I come from a big family. And there was lots of. We'll probably get into this in another podcast. You'll hear it on my thing. There was lots of craziness, like lots of issues around when she came into the world. So like, just did the one. I'm the youngest of 4 biological boys, and there's another kid who grew up in our house, another guy. Yeah. So there's really 5 brothers, and then I had a daughter, and I was like, okay, cool. I know what boy stuff is like. I'm just gonna have the one kid. My daughter at this time, I mean, she's 10 now, so it's like. I'm like, we're not gonna have another baby and like be like, hey, because they won't know each other until they're adults anyway. Because you know what I mean. Like, I'm probably closest with my oldest brother, but he's 14 years older than me. Like, we never were close. Like when I was growing up, I mean, he was doing other shit. When I was born, he was 14. When I was like 6, he was off to college. He was married when I was 8.
Yeah, he would.
I think I was
more like a dad.
Yeah, I was the ring bearer in his wedding because I was such a young kid. Like, right? Like it's.
Wow.
But now that we're adults, like, you know, I'm 37, he's almost 50, or he's 50 now, but like, it was like, hey, let's, like, we're friends now, right? I always forget how old he is. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Larry, you're getting old.
Well, I'm one of 5 as well. I've got a brother and 3 sisters, so I get what it's like to grow up in a big family.
So you from Brisbane? Is that where you're from? On the north part, right? Like if I look at Sydney, it's in Brisbane north?
You're right.
Yeah, and is Brisbane before or after Adelaide, or is Adelaide totally...
Adelaide's below.
Adelaide below, okay,
below Sydney. It's on the bottom.
Yeah.
Brisbane's a cool city. Shout out Brisbane.
And Melbourne's on the bottom too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's where I was getting confused.
We got the Olympics in 2032, so I think it'll be...
Yeah, we should go.
We'll be on the map then.
We should go do a bunch of shows.
We should.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We got to take a show. We got to take a trip to Darwin though, because that's like one of the most random spots I've always wanted to go.
Yeah. You know, I've never been there.
I've
never even scuba dived the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh man, yeah, we got. That's why I want to go. Is I love to scuba dive. Me and my daughter scuba dive too.
Let's do a trip sometime.
Yeah,
I'm big into it.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I think the only other random place I would have been in Australia that you haven't been was Kalgoorlie. Like I doubt you've been there. Like
my dad used to work there.
Yeah,
but I've never.
Just
been
a
there.
big open pit in the ground. That's
I like the name Kalgoorlie.
Kalgoorlie. Yeah.
Did you ever go to Mandurah?
I went to Mandurah before.
We used to go crabbing there. I think there's places like this in Texas, but we used to go crabbing in the summer, and we'd have a boat, so we'd put out pots. We'd also there'd be so many crabs, we'd literally have a scooper and just scoop them off the ground.
Yeah,
you could take home. I think you could bag like 100 at that time in season. It was unbelievable. This is sand crabs, like white crab. Mm-hmm. So cool.
No, it's crazy. Yeah. No, you guys have an amazing country, and I'm always amazed. Like, I think people oftentimes forget this, like how big the landmass is versus like how like the population is like only like 20, 30 million, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
26 million.
Yeah, and it's like it's all in the ring. Like
that's what I like. I'm writing a joke about it at the moment. I haven't said it on stage.
Look at this smart American you're talking to.
I'm writing a joke about like how America's like you've got the North and the South. Like I'm from the South, but people argue about how South they are.
And what counts as South and what doesn't.
But Australia, we've kind of just got the outside.
Yeah.
You're just on the outside and there's nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
We don't really have North and South. Like there's no one is really...
Well, you guys make fun of Tassies.
Yeah, we do. Actually, we do, yeah. We call them two-headed fucks.
Yeah, because that's like the Alabama of Australia, I assume, is Tasmania. Or like the Mississippi.
Yeah, but they're not really any different. Culturally, there's really almost no difference between states. States is that the act. There's not even really much. There's a tiny twang in the accents. Maybe if you can pick it up, like people from Perth sound a lot more. They sound a little bit more British. They've just got a little bit more polite in the way they speak.
Yeah. Or somebody from Hobart.
Man, there's almost no differences. That's the crazy. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, no. It's
Whereas in America, it's different everywhere you go.
It's way different. I always never think I have an accent, and I'm up here, and everyone's like, "I knew immediately you were from the South."
Yeah.
And it's and even being from the South, like you'll occasionally meet people where you're like, I have no idea what they're saying. Like if you go to like Appalachia accent, like people who have the true like West Virginia Appalachia accent, you're like, I'm always like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk, and I'm not making fun of you. I just don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. Like the guys with the Cajun accents. Where are they from?
Creoles, Louisiana.
I can't understand
Creoles.
those fuckers.
Yeah, but they're not speaking English. They're chewing it up and spitting it out. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. But like the whole argument about what's the South, right? Because you'll have like there's still the debate about is North Carolina or South Carolina the South, and it's like and people will be like, no, it's not. It's blah blah. I'm like, I don't. Texas, we're kind of our own thing. Like we don't really claim to be a part of anything. Like I do think we get a bad rap for being like, hey, everybody just leave us the hell alone. But that is kind of like I don't know. It's one of those things. Like it's a place where nobody's going to get into your business, but also nobody's going to. This is going to sound like a double-edged sword. It truly is like it is very much conservative in the old school way of thinking of conservative. Like nobody's going to get in your business, but also nobody like if you're on fire, somebody's gonna be like, man, he should really figure out how to put himself out. Like nobody's also going to go out of their way to do anything either. Not trying to bag on my state, but that is very much where it's like, all right, nobody's going to light you on fire, but nobody's going to be like, oh man, he's on fire. Yeah. He must have planned to do that, right?
Yeah. That's funny. I really want to go to Texas.
Yeah, you should.
I'd like to check it out.
Yeah, you should, man. It's so the big city. So Austin's always a place where everybody typically goes for the culture. I will tell you. I will tell you as well. Like
I've heard mixed things about Austin.
Yeah,
I've had friends that have gone down there to do comedy, and they said the open mic scene is just saturated.
It's saturated and it's brutal. Go to like a Dallas or a Houston or San Antonio. Go to one of the other big cities.
Yeah, people like you can't even really get on stage.
You can't get on stage, and the people that do get on stage, it's terrible. Like there's so many people there, and like
I think that the problem with they said it's a lot of punch down comedy.
It's all punch down comedy,
and that's probably in my opinion. Like I love Kill Tony and I love what they've done. It's a great show. It's so entertaining, but a lot of the people that go up there get the big laughs from being like that punch down style of comedy, and it's its own thing now, isn't it?
Well, it's an open mic online, is what it is. That's what it is. It's a true open mic online. Now, I will say, like, I appreciate like the Tony Hinchcliffes, the Tom Segura's, the Joe Rogans, all them moving to Texas. Like, I appreciate kind of the thing it's done. The problem with a city like Austin is there's really like 3 clubs, right? There's really the Mothership, which everybody knows. There's really Creek and Cave, and there's Cap City, right? Like I even think Vulcan isn't a full-time club. So there's really like 3 clubs that everybody's competing for spots for, and there's thousands of people moving there that think Kill Tony's going to make them instantly famous. And so the open mic scene is saturated. Like how many people I've met that are like, oh, I was doing comedy for 6 months in Milwaukee, and now I moved to Austin. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're telling people in Dallas who are good, it's like, move to New York, right? Like, move to New York or move to LA. Like, if you want to get more into acting, move to LA. If you want to get better at comedy, move to New York.
In my opinion, if you live anywhere in the world, if you haven't cracked to live in New York even for a few years or even for 3 months, if you can just get a tourist visa and come here and do open mics for 3 months, it'll change your game.
You'll get so much better. Yeah. So
do 5 mics a day for 3 months. You'll go back a different person. You'll go back to your city, wherever you live, and fucking kill compared to where you left.
The pressure to write in this city is so amazing.
It kills me, dude, because there's so many talented people, and I do not write bits that quickly. And it's like, it's insane.
Yeah, the pressure to write, like I'm 1 month in here, the pressure to write is off the charts. That's why I like, because even like, I was a little bit like
you just cannot keep doing your old material for long.
No, because I was a little bit cocky my first couple of weeks. I was like, okay, people here aren't any better than the people I've seen in Dallas. But then you would see them at open mics, and you're like, oh shit, we all did the same 3 open mics together, and they've done a different 5 minutes at every open mic. And you're like, and at first I was like, are they? And I was like, oh no, they're working out material. Like they've written 15 minutes of material this week, and they're using these open mics to work on those different 5-minute chunks. And so that was the big, like, I was like, oh, okay, so it's a numbers game, because we all talk about like writing, like you've got to write, like even if it's bad, get it out of your head and on paper, right? Like even if it's bad, like somebody once described it to me as like getting the water hose unclogged, right? It's like get it out of your head and get it on paper and be done with it, right? They so that was so that's always kind of interesting is that you know, kind of getting that stuff done. But like no, the pressure to write here is so amazing because I even found I'm like, okay, like look, I'm seeing the same 20 or 30 people at like these different open mics. I'm like, I can't do my fat material again. Yeah, that worked day one, but everybody's like, all right, I know where the twist is.
Yeah.
I've heard this. And you also like, it sounds weird. Like you end up meeting your friends and you're like, God, I don't want to disappoint my friends with some bad jokes.
Dude, yeah.
And so you have that as well.
It's insane. There has been mics that I've just not gone to because I know my friends are going to be there. And I just don't have anything new. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go to a different mic.
Yeah, I'm going to go to a different mic. Now, I will say, there is something great about having friends in comedy. Like, especially, we used to talk about this, like, having Dallas friends, like, when you bomb and then getting off stage and, like, having your boys or friends in the back. And they're like, man, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I love that interpretive stuff that you were trying up there. The audience didn't seem to get it, but...
It's like soldiers going to war.
Yeah.
You know, you respect the man that goes out on for the charge,
or
even if he loses, you still respect the courage.
Yeah, I mean, and we've all like been to a show where we're like, oh my God, like you're fourth or fifth on the lineup and everybody's eating it, and it's just like, and then somebody's like, well, next man up, like to the gallows we go. It's like I don't know why the 5 o'clock show on a Sunday isn't excited to hear comedy, but.
Oh man, well, it's interesting that everything you're saying is exactly how I felt. So it's cool to see an outsider recognize what's going on here. There's certainly some challenges, but they're good challenges to have.
There is good challenges to have. Now I do like the diversity of the rooms here as well. Like it was, I mentioned the show in Brooklyn where I ate it for doing my fat stuff, but like again, I'm also like, all right, I'm not going to stop making fun of myself. But somebody else who was really funny was on that show too, or was on that mic too, and they were doing some of their stuff, and like I felt like the room wanted to give them like a suicide hotline number. And I was like, you know, they're doing jokes, right? Like it's not like it was like you sounded really depressed. I was like, oh my God, rainbows and kittens, everybody's on their magical journey. Let's relax.
Yeah.
Like, no, but it's fine. It's fine. It's just it's interesting to see the different cultures too, and it's because I do think at times, like I've kind of joked to people, is like I do think at times, like being from Texas, being from the South, we get a lot of shit for certain things. I mean, and I tell almost all comics, I'm like, even if you're in the cities, you shouldn't have a problem. You really shouldn't have a problem in the rural areas. Like if you're a gay comic doing jokes about being gay, or a bi comic doing jokes about being bi, or whatever you kind of fit into, if you're transgender, people do not care about your sexuality in Texas as much as people think they do. People do not care. Now, I will tell comics, I'm like, hey, you're out doing a rural club, and you start making jokes about the Bible, you're going to get people tense up on you. Gotcha. But you can do both jokes about your sexuality, and people aren't going to care.
No.
So it's always like kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah,
I always
keep it in your own lane.
Yeah, keep it in your own lane. Like people don't care. Like if you're gay and you want to do jokes about being gay, people do not care. But as soon as you're like, man, who's dumb enough here to believe in the Bible? You're going to get some buttholes tense up, and then you're going to lose the rest of them. So
are they some pretty heavy devout Christian sort of folk out in those parts? Yeah,
it's kind of odd. Like it is and it isn't. It kind of feels almost more culturally tradition than like people are actually doing it. Does that make sense? I almost feel like it's like people who grew up in a Catholic family. It's like, all right, like, are you still? And they're like, well, yeah, like when I see mom and dad, I still got to go to mass. And I was like, that's the way I think about like Southern evangelical Christian. It's like they all grew up with it. And so they're all like, oh, yeah, that's still the thing we do. But I think if you polled 99% of people, they probably have gone to church twice in the last 2 years, right? Like they went for Christmas.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it's like it's culturally left over.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about your writing style. I'm interested about that.
Oh, man. So my writing style... So what I'll typically do is I go everywhere with my phone, so I'll jot down stupid ideas. So my writing style, though, is I like to take reflections from my life, right? So I like to talk about things that I'm doing. And then what I'll do, this is going to sound very boring and very autistic, but I'll think of something funny, I'll write it down, and then I try to create one joke right there. Like what's the shortest joke I can make? And then what I'll do is I'll be like, okay, well, what are all the other funny things around it? Like, I don't know. Do you do mind mapping? Have you ever taken anything where people do mind mapping?
No.
So, like, take my joke on losing weight, right? So I'd make a circle and I'd say weight loss. And I'm like, what are all the things related to weight loss? Okay, working out. Okay, eating. Okay, food. Okay, my body, right? And then I'm like, okay, what other things around this weight loss can I make jokes about? So I'm a big mind map person. So then I'll be like, so I'll start with one joke. So what I'm ultimately trying to do, and I've heard this is the way to do it, is like when I write a joke, I'm trying to think of like, how can I turn that joke into a 3 to 5 minute chunk, right? And then I'll write 3 to 5 minute chunks. Now, my problem is I got to get better at my transitions, because you've heard some of my transitions where I'm like, all right, cool, weight loss, we're done with that. Now we're going to talk about how I grew up.
I don't believe in transitions.
Okay.
I don't at all. And I'll tell you why. I did a class with a guy, several classes with a guy when I first got here. His name was Stephen Rosenfield.
Yeah.
Brilliant guy. I'm going to get him on the podcast soon. And he explained that there doesn't need to be a transition. He just said, just finish a bit and start another bit. And I believe in it. I think it's absolutely fine. Just stop and start. When you're talking in real life, you don't explain why you're moving to the next thing you want to talk to me about. You just talk about it. It's just a human way. So why do you need to have a transitional piece? You don't. It's just more fat. Just stop, start, and just stop, start the whole way through.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. That's what I think.
No, I agree. I think you can smooth it out, but I think you do the things you need to do.
And obviously you try and piece things in that have a general flow or theme, you know, like if you had 3 bits about growing up, but that was completely separate bits, you would probably try and piece them together.
Yeah.
But they don't need to have any transition in between them.
Yeah, no.
But what do I know? I don't know anything. That's just, yeah.
Look out for his new Netflix special, The Birdman, coming this November. Cam Bird.
That was my nickname at school.
The Birdman?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And in blue collar world.
As soon as you get famous, you got to have Chris Anderson on, the basketball player, the Birdman. Like someday you'll have to have him on. Like the pride of Blinn College in Texas. So go Birdman.
Go Birdman.
Go Chris Anderson.
Okay, so you do the mind map. Okay, this is good. I like that. I think I should start doing that because I'm a very visual person. Look at my calendar, for example, and I do this at work with a lot of stuff. I'm a visual person.
Yeah, I do the same exact thing.
Color, everything's color coded, so I can put my phone on silent.
So I'll show you mine. So I do this thing called Cubly. So it's the same thing where like I've got
is it Cubly?
Cubly, yeah.
It's an app.
It's an app where I have like the different and different cities are color coded in different things as well, and like
you'll have to show me after.
I'll show it to you afterwards. Yeah. No, but like comedy's been fun, man. I think one of the things I always kind of tell people though is my superpower, because I started late. I'm only a couple years in. And my superpower, where I would consider myself in our class of comics, is I think I'm a slightly above average comic. I don't think I'm the funniest one in our class. But what I've kind of been good at is networking has been my superpower. But I think that's coming from like owning a business and doing that stuff, is because now essentially I'm doing the same thing I was before, but now I'm the business, right? Like I'm trying to sell. And so I've gotten really good at kind of, doing that kind of stuff and being like, okay, where do I need to be? And I'm also, to be perfectly candid to a lot of comics, like I've produced some shows for new comics. Like you might be the funniest person in your city and you're a year in. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Like I also think be nice to everybody. Like that's been a big thing I've tried to tell people. I'm like, don't be an asshole. Like, and if you don't like somebody, just don't be around them, right? But you don't need to be an asshole about anything.
I wrote a book. I got a little chapter on that. Then the like 10 rules to being an apprentice. And one of the rules is don't be lippy, be liked.
Yep.
And I think it's true. Like when you get to a new place, just be respectful, like you would if you were going to dinner at your girlfriend's place. Just be nice, be polite. Don't try and be the coolest or the loudest person in the room, because no one likes that guy.
Yeah.
No one likes those people at work. You don't like them in real life. No one likes that guy. So don't be that guy in comedy.
But also like take care of people. If somebody's having like a hard time or something, like shit, I know we're not making a lot of money at comedy, but like buy somebody a drink or like take them out for a cigarette or like take them out for a coffee and be like, hey, you all right? What's going on? Like, I mean, I think just being there for your peers also like helps.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's kind of the big thing. Is I'm like, and now I'm gonna sound like from the South, where I'm like, hey, I've got a Book of Mormon we want to talk about. But I'm like, no, it's. I think it's just be nice to people, right? And like, even if somebody's having a bad day, like you never know if somebody got broken up with or if like somebody died or something else. So like, if you have a bad experience with somebody one time, don't be like, oh, I hate them. Now, if you have a bad experience with somebody like 3 or 4 times, you can just be like, all right, I think that person's an asshole. Like I just won't be around them. But I'm like, then just don't be around them.
Yeah. No, I hear. I hear you 100%. So going back just to finish with the writing for a second, because we sort of veered off. That was my fault.
No, we're good.
Once you do the mind map, how are you then piecing it all together?
So I'll end up starting to piece jokes together. So like my big 5-minute chunk on weight loss, like the start of that is that I got weight loss surgery. I got gastric bypass, right? And that it transforms your body. Well, then I have a joke about how much I used to weigh. Right, which is like I used to weigh this, so I used to be class 3 obese, so I had a black belt and being a fat ass, right? And like I do the whole, and then I go through that. Then I talk about, well, what does that mean, right? Like, so are there good aspects of the body? And I tie that back in, and then I'm like, okay, well, I was obviously 425 pounds, so I must have loved food. So then I wrote a joke about food. Like I have a joke about the grocery store, right? That like, thinking labels in the grocery store are weird. So then I start to piece it together as if I'm telling a story about, hey, I lost all this weight. I've been opening with the weight loss stuff, but I think I'm going to put it actually after my growing up stuff because I want to talk about like growing up poor. I didn't learn how to eat well, and that's why I was so heavy. And I think it'll transition much easier. I know you're like transitions don't matter, but I think that's the place to start. But
that's the flow. Yeah, I think it'll be great.
But that's how I typically do it. Is I'll write a bunch of jokes and I'll figure out like how they flow together. Now I will tell you my style. Everybody's different. Some people do rants. I struggle with rants. Because I'm going to see this 5 years from now and I'm going to have like a 10-minute rant where I'm making fun of somebody, but I struggle to make fun of people. So I'd rather make fun of me or my family. And so like I struggle with rants at times because I struggle to be like, oh, this person's dumb or this thing's dumb. As I'm like, I'd rather talk about me. So,
I'm not. I've found a lot easier to write about myself and what's going on in my life, but I'm not like, I don't really, I find it hard to write about current events and political stuff.
Well,
it's just not really my thing.
Quick. It burns so quickly.
Exactly. It feels like a waste of energy because you can say it one day and then the next day it's just completely gone.
And the thing I always say is like riff on it with your friends, and then if it ends up being something, the JD Vance thing or the Boeing thing, like when Boeing was having their issues with the plane, I wrote a joke that I was like, Boeing got their start in World War I making dive bombers. I always think it's cool when companies go back to their roots.
I like that.
But we move, but it's done, right?
Yeah.
Or like when JD Vance and the couch thing was like, I wish people would stop saying JD Vance sleeps with couches. He calls them love seats, right? That was like they're dumb. But then you move on and like I heard somebody last night the show I was on. Somebody last night did a Bill Cosby joke, and I was like, dude, that like happened like 4 years ago.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bill Cosby jokes still. Wait till you're here for 7 months.
Yeah, and I'm like,
you'll see them all.
I'm like, we're still doing this.
Yeah, not everyone, but there's a lot of people still doing them.
Oh man, and it's so bad. Where it's like, all right, like every angle you could play out on that has been a meme, right? And I'm like, so like I don't know, but I'm the same way. Where I think the current events. I love that people are trying to rehash their COVID stuff too. That feels like something like everyone's trying to rehash their coming out of quarantine. I'm like, we came out of quarantine like it's been a long time now, guys. Like we've been out of full president now.
I don't even want to hear the word COVID when I'm at a show. I'm so
Somebody was talking about this flu season being bad, and that they were talking about lockdowns. Like you're never going to get the South to lock down again. Like you're not. Like people are going to have to be dying for them to go back, like they're gonna have to visibly like see people die. Like it's gonna have to be like Stephen King level The Stand.
But even then, I don't think anyone has the appetite for it.
No.
Melbourne in Australia was the second most locked down city in the world after Wuhan. They were locked down. It was like 18 months or something. I could be wrong, but I think it was around that. Don't fact check me.
So for my people, like I'll just be honest with you. I know we get a lot of shit in Texas for being bass backwards and stuff, but I do the agreement from my people, which I think was right, is we gave it a very good college try. Like we went inside and they were like, we're gonna, because I remember in the day they said we're gonna flatten the curve. Everyone needs to go inside for 2 months. So everyone did it. Everyone went inside for 2 months. They weren't happy about it, but they were like, 2 months, we can do this, blah, blah. We'll take vacation. We'll do this. blah. And then we started coming out and they're like, oh, no, now we need to like eliminate the curve. And it's like, that's not what we talked about. That's not what we talked about at all. We talked about flattening. Well, no, we're back outside. Like, we're not going back in. Like, don't worry about it. So
it was all bullshit.
It was all bullshit. I mean, they didn't know, but
they didn't know, but
they're also making up stuff as they were going. So it's
fine. It's not that. It's not that they didn't know. It's the fact that they lied about so much stuff. Absolutely. They lied about things that they had no fucking idea about.
Yeah. I mean, but they just didn't want to say they didn't know. Right. Yeah. So that's the big problem. So
I had a big problem with COVID. I didn't like it. I didn't like anything that happened then. Obviously no one did, but it wasn't so much the disease. It was what society turned into at that time.
Oh yeah.
They turned into a little bunch of fucking little bitches. So many fucking pussy little fuckwits that just annoyed the shit out of me.
Preach it, brother.
Because everyone just jumped on the bandwagon and no one questioned the narrative. And when you did question the narrative, you just were called an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, like when you said, this is fucking bullshit. Why do I have to take a fucking vaccine to go to the shops or go to a pub? It's like, man, there's a part of me that will never forgive governments for that.
Oh, no, it was nuts. And like, I think Chad Daniels has a joke about it when he first started getting back on the road. Clubs were like, do you want us to check vaccine cards? He's like, no, I don't care. And they were like, well, what, you don't believe in the vaccine? He's like, no. He's like, I hope everybody gets the vaccine. He goes, I have no idea who's got the vaccine. I do know who has access to an index card and a printer, and that's fucking everybody. Like, this is the most unofficial document I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's like, and I do kind of agree with that. Like, I don't know. I just think the whole thing was just bananas. And it's like, there are times where you were mentioning like jumping on the bandwagon. I mean, honestly, like that's the whole thing where I think like we are now in a counterpunch. And what I've told people before, this is the same thing like, God, we're going to get very political. We're two white guys talking about all this. But like, it's the same thing. Like I would consider myself a moderate, but probably liberal by Texas standards. Like living there, as I was like, hey, guys, every time somebody's accused of something, we're running to cancel them. And then like we're finding out some of these things didn't happen. Some of these things did happen. I was like, it only hurts actual victims in the long run. And that's the way I feel about this is like, now we've created so much of a pushback and antitrust of anything that's said. It's like, look, when there is actually like some shit we need people to listen to, there's not the appetite to listen to it anymore. Because it's like, well, no, you already fucked with me before, right? And it's like, and I think the bandwagon of like, oh, somebody said something they were upset about. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, but talk to them. Like, what are we doing? Like now, again, I'm not saying that every white guy should be throwing around the Hell Hitler signal when they're, fucking at the inauguration. But like, I'm also like, all right, like,
when they went on about that shit, I was like, shut the fuck up. Who cares? You're just adding meaning to something that is so meaningless. It's like everything in life. And anything is only as meaningful as the meaning you put to it. And your meaning, your point of view of your stupid little fucking news anchor, no one fucking cares anymore. Shut the fuck up. Like, get out of the way, dickhead.
As somebody who would like to see the Democrats win again someday, can you guys stop trucking 90-year-olds out to be offended about something with no fucking energy? Oh my God. That party is fucking killing me because I would like some more liberal or moderation. But again, it's one of those where like the people who are really young don't fit in with what would be Southern Democrats, and that's not a callback to the old Southern Democrats. It's like, they just don't fit in, and then like anybody who could mildly is like 98, and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, why is there not an age gap on politics? There's a retirement age, so why shouldn't there be an age? Not age gap, age cutoff.
There should be an age limit. Yeah, there should be an age limit both ways.
If you're 85 years old, you shouldn't be in politics. Get the fuck.
Go home.
Yeah, you're not in. You need to be a member of the working class society. The age cutoff should be the retirement age, whatever that
100%. Yeah,
because otherwise you're out of touch. If you're not working and not contributing, then you don't fucking really know what's going on.
You don't need to be there. Yeah, you don't need to be there. Yeah, you don't need to be there. Like. Yeah. You're 85 and you've been in Congress for 35 years. I'm like, all right, you have no idea what people are going through.
No fucking idea.
Yeah.
And that's then when you just get corruption. You get all these people that are captured by money, captured by big companies and corporations, and they're not making any decision for the people, which is the people they're trying to serve.
Now, I will say, if any corporations are listening out there and would like to sponsor my first special, I am available for sale. Cam, I do appreciate. I do agree with you, but I also know that I am for sale. So if anybody,
I don't ever want to be sponsored by a big corporation.
if Johnson & Johnson wants to sponsor my first special, or Coca-Cola, the lines are open.
Yeah, fuck them.
Sorry, Cam.
Nah, don't be sorry. Yeah, it's crazy, man. We live in a crazy world. We live in a crazy fucking world, but it's changing, and I can feel it.
You can feel it?
I can fucking feel it.
Yeah.
I really feel there is some magic happening.
I feel like we need a black guy on this podcast where this is going. I'm like, what was the name of this podcast again? The Crazy Kids Corner? I don't like how you abbreviated that. That corner was spelled with a C, Cam. What is this?
What on earth is a black guy going to do to make this podcast?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I didn't understand that.
No.
I think we need a black guy right now.
I
Is he going to level it out?
I love how I made that comment. You were like, I don't understand what they would add. What would they add to this podcast?
No, I mean,
Fuck, what do you need them for? Like, all right.
That sounds so racist. I don't mean it like that. I just don't get the joke.
I do love that the Australian at the beginning of the show was like, nobody lives in the fucking middle. For those of you who are watching at home, Americans who don't know, where most of the Aboriginal people live in Australia is in the parts of the country where Cam said there's nobody fucking there. So just so we're all aware, watching along at home. No, it's okay. Keep going.
I've dug a hole. I bail.
No. All right,
I'm pulling the parachute.
Since we're on this one, I'm gonna tell one more. So last time I was in Australia, I was in Perth, and one of my buddies, I was gonna go downtown, and he said, "Oh, don't go downtown. There's a lot of cricks there." Do you know what cricks are?
I've never heard.
I had no idea what he was talking about. Now, I want to say to the viewing audience, I'm quoting somebody, so this is not me. He goes, "Oh, a lot of Asian tourists with cameras. You take picture? You take crick, please?" I was like, "Holy shit." I had never heard that term. He's like, don't go downtown right now. There's a lot of cricks down there.
Well, when I was in the UK, I was working in King's Cross Station.
Yeah.
I was a maintenance electrician. And one of the guys goes, "Oh, well, I was looking for rentals." And he goes, "Oh, don't go in that area." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Oh, because there's so many letterboxes there."
Yep. I'm with you.
And I was like, letterboxes. That was, I mean, a little racist, but funny at the same time.
That was hilarious. Love that shit.
And it does. They look
I was in Sweden, and it was so funny because liberals are like, "Oh, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, that's where I want to go." I was cracking up. I was like, I would move back to Sweden in a heartbeat. However, total undertone of racism when you're there. So as a white guy, you're fine. I was there, I remember they were having elections, and they were having a right-wing government come up at the time, and somebody goes, "Hey, Russell, who'd you vote for?" And I said, "Oh, well, I'm an immigrant, so, I couldn't vote for blah, blah." And they were like, "Yeah, but you're a good immigrant." And I was like, "Oh, what the fuck does that mean?" I was like, "Let's dig into that. I like that." What do you mean? I was like, let's hear what this is. And then when I lived in Antwerp, I lived across from the bar. I shit you not. I lived across from a bar called the Dancing Chocolate. I lived there for months before I went in there, and I always thought, "Oh, Belgian chocolates, right? That's cute. I bet they make candy and stuff there." Nope. When you walk in, it's an effigy of a little black boy dancing around, and it's full stereotypical red lips, big hair from the 20s. I was like, "Oh shit! All right, cool." Belgium is not super cool.
I mean, I wonder if any of it goes deeper into their psyche though. They're not. They come across as racist, but they're not exposed. They've just been white for as long as they can ever remember. That they didn't have access to Africa and those sorts of continents. I wonder how much of it is just.
Well, Belgium had a lot of access, but Scandinavia not. No,
I mean, going back further and further and further.
Yeah, no, they didn't at all, right? They didn't at all, and so it was one of those things where it was
because you look at kids, Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but if kids are scared of things that is foreign to them, when you look at a baby, first time you meet someone's baby, they don't come up to you, or a toddler, they don't come up to you and give you a huddle. They look at you like
Oh,
I
dude.
don't know what this is.
Dude, when I had my daughter as well, like I wear a beard, and then one time I shaved for something to see if I wanted to go back to clean shaven, and my toddler was like, "Who the hell are you?"
Yeah.
Like, and it was just because she didn't recognize me without the beard.
Yeah. I don't think anyone is racist. Like deep down, I don't. I truly don't. If you put a person in the room with someone that they think they hate, if you let them actually talk, I bet you they'll walk away most of the time.
Yeah.
Unless
Welcome to our new podcast. Cam and I are going to explore this on the next episode. I am all about this. On our next episode, we'll be interviewing a Grand Wizard from the clan and a Black Panther member, and we're going to see how long they can stay in the room together. Me and Cam will be on the other side of bulletproof glass, watching the whole thing.
hey man, there's no guns in New York City, all right?
Yeah, that we know of.
Oh man, you're a funny motherfucker.
I like this. Let's explore this tension. Let's dive deep. I'm not afraid. Like, I mean, shit.
What was the coolest thing you saw in Australia when you were there?
The coolest thing I saw in Australia.
Mate, you can, I keep interrupting you. I'm so sorry, but I keep thinking of so many things to talk to you about. But you must have a wealth of all this traveling you've done, all these beautiful lives you lived in different places. You're gonna have to address that all on stage one day once you get your moment.
No, I'm still working through some of that material.
I get it.
I have my stuff that gets lost in translation. But the coolest stuff I ever saw, I mean, candidly, like this is gonna sound like a douchey thing, but it was like the people. I'm fascinated by people.
It's always the people.
And like loved Perth. Beaches in Australia are great. Australian women are super attractive. Like I'm going to tell people that as well. Like Australian women are fucking like and again, if you have an accent, it's the same thing that works here. I mean, you probably have. I hope you're getting good play with your Australian accent, but it's like
I'm married.
You're married. Okay, well, yeah. I hope you're getting good play at home. But it's like it's one of those. Anytime you're anywhere with an accent, like it works out. But it's but you know, it's like the people are phenomenal. I will be honest, like even like I went to Tasmania a couple times. I went down to Queenstown to the mine sites there, and like I saw a couple Tasmanian devils and like little kiwis walking across the roads. That was pretty cool. But I was terrified of everything. I never like flipped over any rocks in Australia. Anytime somebody was like, "You want to go on a nature walk?" I was like, "Fuck that!" Like, this is the park in the city. I'll do that, but I'm not going out. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, your country's trying to, like, this is the one place in the world trying to actively murder you all the time.
Yeah. It's not that bad.
Like, people don't even realize platypuses are poisonous.
Yeah, they are.
And I'm like, people are like, oh, it's so cute. I'm like, yeah, go pet it. We'll see you later.
You do have to be a little careful, but you guys make it seem so much worse than it actually is.
It's the same way in Texas. Everybody thinks everybody's getting shot in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I haven't been in elementary school in a long time, so that's not a problem for me anymore.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Let's dig into that. Let's dig into that, Russ.
What?
Let's just release the tension on that elementary school comment that you just made.
What, on school shootings?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's dissect that.
I mean, how many have happened since we've been sitting here?
All right, man. Well, we gotta shut this down. Sorry, it was a little bit shorter. We had a bit of a technical difficulty, and
hey, when's it coming out?
This will be out in 2 weeks.
All right, so I'm gonna plug me and some other Texas.
Please, plug everything and plug your socials and look into the camera.
Yeah, so I am the Russ Jenkins. Appreciate you guys on Instagram. So Russ Jenkins, please follow me. But in the Northeast, we're bringing 4 hilarious Texas comics up: Megan King, Kinsey Ford, Shauna Blake, and myself. We're doing March 15th through the 21st. We're going to be hitting up Empire Comedy in Maine, Great Falls Comedy in Auburn, Maine, the Comedy Studio in Boston, Providence Comedy Underground, the Elbow Room in Connecticut, and a couple other places. So hit us up. We're excited. Cool little mini tour we're doing.
Hell yeah. And everyone that watches this podcast, please follow Russ. Follow everyone that I'm bringing on this podcast. And if you're watching these, go back from the beginning. Give everyone a shot. Everyone that I'm getting on here, I promise, are absolute legends, and they're going after it. So they're worth watching and worth following. These guys are all going to have Netflix specials one day. So, Russ, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Cam. Appreciate you, brother.
See you in the next one, guys.